Many of you have asked how to make a bow, so that's what I'm going to show you today. First off, I always use wired ribbon. It's a little more forgiving if it's not an accurate bow. You can shape the loops to make it look more symmetrical. So let's get started. First, I unroll a bunch of ribbon onto the floor. It's just easier to work with when you're not having to take it off the roll. Then I untwist it. I start off by gathering it in my hand, just like you want to scrunch it and pinch it. You have a little bit of extra just so it's easier to hold. And then I make a loop. So I take the ribbon back and make my first loop. And then right beside that where I've pinched it, I pinch this piece of ribbon. So now I've got my first loop. Then I take the ribbon down and back over and around. And right beside it, I pinch it, just where I pinched the other two. To make sure these are exactly the same length, you can just hold them up like this. That way you know they're exactly the same length. So to make my second loop, I make sure it's backwards. You're putting the ribbon back and you're bringing it up. I make the second loops just a little bit longer than the first loop. And then I pinch it again. Now you don't want to pinch it, you want to hold this relatively secure in your hand, but you don't have to hold it exactly, real tight, or else your hand will start to cramp up. So the tighter you hold it, the more your hand will cramp. Then you want to come back down and back over. Again, a little bit longer than the first loop. And then to check the lengths to make sure they're even, hold it up. And if they're even, then you're good to go. So you're just going to scrunch it in between the two fingers that you're holding it. And then you're going to make your next loop. It's going to be exactly the same length as the second loop on this side. So you scrunch it. Then you're going to come down and back over. And scrunch it. That's a little bit longer, so I'm going to fix it. So I'm checking my lengths. Now I want to make the next loop on this side. I wanted to make it just a little bit bigger than these two loops that you just made. So you're going to come up. And then you're going to scrunch it again, always pinching it with your fingers. You're making your creases in when you scrunch it in there. So that's not long enough. This one's too long, so I just need to pull the ribbon a little bit. And that looks good. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side. So I'm going to make one more. I always finish with one extra. And I'm going to make it the same length as the last loop. Crunch it inside your little, where you're pinching it. There. Now for the tail, I just, you can measure out how much, you want for a tail. So I usually do like 30 inches or so. So you bring it down, and now you're going to bring the ribbon up. And then you're going to scrunch it again. And then cut it off from the ribbon. And you could go ahead and cut the tail in two right here. So now all you have to do is secure it with a pipe cleaner. Always use pipe cleaner. It's easier to use. It's easier to grab. Doesn't slip as easy as if you're using a floral wire. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take the pipe cleaner and you're going to run it through. I've got it running through these two fingers and down and around, and then I pull it. Now what I'm doing is I'm pushing the ribbon all the way up to the top of the pipe cleaner. And this is where I go ahead and I start to shape the bow. Before I twist it up tightly, you want to bring some loops around, some to the back. These two that you did, the first two loops, we're going to come up. And then when I like the shape of the bow, I pinch it again and I turn it over, so you can see. And you're just going to twist the pipe cleaner. Actually, you're twisting the bow, not the pipe cleaner. You want to twist the bow. That's what's going to make it tight, not the pipe cleaner. Don't do it more than 3-4 times, because then the pipe cleaner will break. So if you do have a little bit of an extra piece on the top, you can cut it. So let's flip it again. Okay, and then make sure your streamers, the front of the ribbon is showing, so you might want to twist those around. And if you notice, with wire ribbon, if you just run your fingers down the ribbon, it automatically has a little bit of a curl to it. So there you go. Now you could finish off the ends. You can dovetail them, or just cut them at an angle. So to dovetail them, you would fold it in half and cut it at an angle, so that when you open it, it's got this professional looking V-shaped. But there you go. There's how to make a ribbon. How to make a bow.